Pure Fiction is the newest mode introduced in patch 1.6, and with it comes the new possibilities of team compositions. Pure Fiction is Erudition's playground, but there's also some other units that can shine in the mode if given the chance. However, this does bring up the question of what units should you consider building? Is it worth investing in a couple new characters from 1 to 80? What does actually change with Pure Fiction's introduction? We'll go over that and more as we talk about the bigger picture in play, and that's the importance of character diversity. Before we get into the video, I'd like if you could take the chance to subscribe. The support recently has been really insane, and it's been motivating me to release more and more great content. Also, comment down below how your runs of Pure Fiction all went. Love to hear about it, and now let's get back into the video. Building units on your account's the important thing on Star Rail, right? But the majority of players, or even newer players, don't know the right priority in what you should be investing in. There's a lot more to focus on certain characters for certain content, and up until now, single target and blast was the most important units to build. There was a long time where Erudition units were just recommended to be passed on for leveling, and with each patch, Erudition slowly but surely started to get better. Come Pure Fiction, the fruit of all the labor of work in trying to fix Erudition has led up to this one moment. Let's talk about some characters that shine with this mode. Now, let's be honest, a lot of people are already talking about the importance and the rise of Erudition units, and Pure Fiction is the mode that really does show that all off. It's been a long time coming, but it's time for you all to dust off those Hertas and those Himekos, because they're here and they're ready to cause quite a ruckus in this mode. Speaking of those two, let's just get started and talk about them both. Herta, honestly, I really enjoyed the idea behind Herta's kit. Herta is given to you for free for completing the simulated universe. Additionally, you're also given most of her Eidolons for free from the simulated universe as well. Herta is a follow-up attacker whose spinning move triggers once an enemy's HP hits below 50%, and the cool thing about this is even if you trigger this effect on just one enemy, if the enemy were to drop below 50% while she begins spinning, Herta will continue to spin more and more per enemy that goes below that 50% threshold. However, that's also where it really does come to an end for Herta, as this can only be triggered once per enemy. But if you take that into account and consideration, a mode like Pure Fiction with an endless mode stage that keeps spawning new and new enemies, Herta begins to gain more traction at a very rapid rate. Herta does, however, get stronger and stronger when you begin to pair her up with our next unit, and that unit is Himeko. Himeko is one of my favorite units in this game, and while she was generally considered to be one of the more bad units in the game, she's no longer taking any of this disrespect, and she's showing her true colors as she satellite beams and pizza colors everyone to oblivion. Himeko is another one of our big follow-up attackers in the game, which triggers when an enemy's toughness gauge is broken. Activating with 3 charges, small enemies will give 1 charge each per weakness break, while elite enemies will give her a full charge for the follow-up attack. Additionally, this mode allows for Himeko's ultimate to massively gain a boost, since when her ultimate, for every additional enemy that has been defeated by her ultimate, she'll gain an additional 5 energy, which leads to even more ultimates to come in the future. These two units pack a punch together, and this can be further boosted with our new relic set, the Ash Blazing Grand Duke, which additionally boosts their follow-up attack damage by 20% when a follow-up is triggered on an enemy, we gain up to 48% attack lasting up to 3 turns. This leads into another one of my fun unit choices for the mode, and that's Topaz. When pairing Topaz together with Herta or Himeko, or even both of them, Numby is able to get action advance so many times, it's just actually so much free damage. This really adds on to her benefits, and she can really be a great cleanup killer, depending on what's left on the field if they can manage to survive the carnage that is the follow-up shuffle. Topaz is also great because she's able to make quick work of some elites, making up for the damage that Erudition units can't really handle from the single target standpoint. It's such a good pairing that can bloom from almost nothing. The next thing I want to talk about is our damage over time units. Now, you may be wondering, I bring up Dot Team a lot, and while I am a big fan, I also think that there's still great units to consider when attempting Pure Fiction. However, this time around I wanted to bring up some screenshots from the livestream. We actually know what the second instance of Pure Fiction will focus on, and that's damage over time. The Whimsicality buff increases dot damage taken by enemies, damage reduced with dots on enemies, and actions are advanced forward. The Cacophony buffs are also as follows on screen here. I'll give you a brief time to look over them while talking about our units. Kafka is quite the charmer when it comes to how often she wants to be shown on the screen, and it's very much well-deserved screen time. It's a no-brainer that she would be a great unit to bring into Pure Fiction, given that her skill is blast damage, and her ultimate is AoE, with a pretty incredible multiplier. Sampo and Gwen Ifen are the same. Being able to hit multiple targets is a massive plus when it comes to pure fiction and getting the ball rolling. Unfortunately, poor Luca isn't going to be able to have fun time in this mode, so we'll have to let him play hero somewhere else. Additionally, something I do want to mention is that this pure fiction release will also line up with the release of 2.0. What I mean to say by this is I'm confident that Black Swan will have something to do with damage over time. So it looks like our Kafka team is going to finally feel like a complete thing with her release. I also want to give a quick and small shout out to Pela. While Pela is basically a jack of all trades, it also shows here in pure fiction. You can build your Pela as a sub DPS character and she'd be able to deal incredible amounts of damage with her ultimate. Given how easy it is for Pela to get her ultimate back constantly, the damage she can deal can rack up and add very quickly. This leads into our last section for units, and that's the power of Harmony units. With enemies dying so rapidly, debuffers start to have a hard time with being able to keep up or do anything for the team. So what ends up being more important is having buffs on your units that can be carried over from wave to wave and cycle to cycle. Ruan Mei is one of the best units to come out of this. Her general damage up from her skill as well as the toughness break makes her one of the best supports for arguably the strongest team in pure fiction, the Herta Himeko composition. Not to mention, for all type resistance penetration from her ultimate, she may not be able to do damage herself, but she's sure as hell able to let everyone else around her deal massive damage as well. Asta was another unit that gained some use again this pure fiction cycle from myself. Speed boost is pretty nice to be able to have and hopefully be able to get you more actions per cycle. And her general attack percent gained from her having her stacks is really nice for that extra added effect. Not to mention, pairing hero fire units gives her that additional 18% fire damage bonus to all of them. Asta is a unit that you wouldn't want to sleep on for this mode if you're in need for a little extra. Tingyun also brings herself into this play for the pure fiction cycle. The more ultimates you can lash out, the better, and Tingyun lets you get those ultimates quicker, while additionally buffing the character's damage by a massive amount. As long as your skill point economy can be high, Bronya is another great choice to bring into the mode. The action advance forward from her could be the difference you need to help squeeze out those extra few points. Man, that was a lot to get through. There's so many units that can show back use with pure fiction coming into play, and the mode itself adds such a variety for what can and can't be done with the endgame content. The later we get into the game's life cycle, the more important it is to start building more units that you have and have them ready for these types of situations. Pure Fiction, at least, is a very lenient game mode that gives you about 20k points for leeway, with both halves being about 40k each, and the added benefit of boss units, if they're the last one up, they take a bunch more damage, which makes farming the stages for the small fry a lot more enjoyable. I'm looking forward to seeing how they try to improve on Pure Fiction in the future, as well as I'm looking forward to seeing what other types of endgame mechanics they'll test the waters with as well. And with that, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. We'd love if you could take the time to subscribe, and if there's any feedback you have, leave it in the comments down below. I would love to be able to watch and see your comments and see what else I can improve on. And now, I'm gonna go and beat my head into a wall as I try to get 80k points in stage 4. Until next time, peace.